Greetings, and welcome to Skylanders Portalcasters, the podcast where we discuss anything and everything Skylanders. I am your host, GFDitto, and I am joined today by co-host Inklander. Last time, we discussed capitalism and its impact on the Skylanders series. And continuing on a similar note, we decided that today's episode, we're going to talk about how Activision could capitalize further upon the franchise by opening a Skylanders theme park. Inklander, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to talk about this. This is a very exciting topic.
Yes, there's a lot of great ideas that we could pull from Skylanders to come up with ideas for rides and attractions and, food stalls and various different things like that. So it'll be kind of a fun discussion, and I think that this is actually a rather timely discussion because we've never really seen theme parks try to pull from video game properties before until Universal making that deal with Nintendo for Super Nintendo World, and that's opening, presumably, unless the date gets changed again, but that's opening in Universal Studios Japan in February. That's kind of cool, so we're already kind of seeing this idea of, what a theme park section based around video games could look like. If Activision Blizzard wanted to step in, of course they could, have an Azeroth section, or they could have something, kind of based around Crash or Spyro. But I think one thing that would actually kind of be really cool, especially if Skylanders came back from hiatus, or if they just wanted to have a kid zone kind of section, they could totally do a Skylanders themed area.
And I do believe we have quite a few really amazing ideas to pull from that we're going to be discussing right now. So, my first thoughts when it comes to a Skylanders theme park are, what would the entryway look like? And I have a tendency to envision something similar to theme parks we currently have, such as Disneyland. Every theme park opens with some sort of main gate. And I feel as though for a Skylanders themed park, that it would be only fitting to have the main gate be some sort of a portal.
Yeah, I would totally agree. That's kind of the thing with any sort of themed area now. You have something that's kind of based around that franchise's lore and that franchise's history. Take a look at Jurassic Park in Universal. They have the giant Jurassic Park arches that you step under. We know that Super Nintendo World, you're going to be entering that through a warp pipe. So I think it's only fitting for Skylanders to have you step through a portal of some sort. And whether they do some sort of crazy kind of light show kind of thing going on, or have a mist that you step through or something, there's any number of things that they could do with it. It would be very, very fitting to have a kind of portal themed entrance. It'd be really cool.
Absolutely. Now, once we have stepped into the park, the first thing that we would normally see in most amusement parks, I believe, is shops and eateries.
The entrance of any kind of theme park is, you have Main Street USA, or you have, Port of Entry, and that's, typically where you have some food places, you have some shops, and that totally makes sense, because typically when people are on their way out of the park, they're going to want something to remember their experience by, and so they're going to be, going to those shops to be able to pick up a t-shirt or something like that.
Among the various shops selling the standard Skylanders figures, other Skylanders merchandise, probably t-shirts, hats, hoodies, you name it.
And these hats and t-shirts or whatever, they could be very much Skylanders themed. They could actually, take some of the iconic hats that you're able to collect from the games, put the Skylanders logo on them, or the logo for the park on them, and, you could have those different kind of hats or trinkets there. You'd be able to, of course, buy tons of different Skylanders figures, be able to buy the games, buy some t-shirts, and maybe even have some of those t-shirts themed around maybe some of the costumes of various characters. Maybe you could get a Captain Flynn jacket or something like that as well. There's tons of different kind of merchandising kind of options that they could do that would really kind of fit with the lore really well. And another thing that they could even do, if they wanted to offer it, is they could even kind of bring back the 3D printing of Skylanders from Skylanders Imaginators, where you could design a Skylander on a kiosk in one of these shops, and then you could watch it get 3D printed right in front of you. That'd be kind of pretty neat. And granted, it'd probably take take a while, but you could go to the shop early in the day, design your Skylander, go enjoy yourself in the park, and then on your way out, you'd be able to pick up the finished 3D print, and that'd be something really cool. Then, if it's using all the parts for Imaginators, that's a Skylander you could take with you and play in the game when you're home.
Absolutely, that's a brilliant idea. Now, alongside these shops, we are going to need some place to grab lunch or a snack.
Oh, yes.
Eateries are a huge part of amusement parks. A couple of ideas that I've been able to come up with are some of the simple yet obvious things, like there would have to be a Captain Cluck's king-size chicken.
Oh yes, absolutely. There's no way that you would not be able to have Captain Cluck's king-size chicken in this park. It's pretty much like, you know, exactly like how they have the Simpsons area in Universal Studios where they have the Krusty Burger, right? You know, like you associate that restaurant with the Simpsons just as how, like, you know, you associate Captain Cluck's Chicken HQ with Skylanders. And that's just like the perfect combination of stuff that you could have there. And they could, you know, have the jingle that plays in the store. They could have it very much kind of themed based around that whole level where it kind of has this barnyard almost kind of look to it. And they could really have a lot of fun with that and play it up a lot.
Absolutely. And then there are other concepts like Broccoli Guy's Pizzeria.
Right, because that's just a perfect reference there to Imaginators. Because, you know, Broccoli Guy during the battle arena fights is always kind of complaining about the pizza not arriving or wanting a pizza or things like that. And they could kind of do a Musion thing where we see, like, maybe a hologram of Broccoli Guy kind of walking around in various parts of the store, maybe, you know, making the various Broccoli Guy comments that he makes, but also, you know, maybe complaining about his pizza not arriving or things like that. It'd be kind of funny.
And then I think it would be absolutely criminal to talk about Skylanders-themed eateries without mentioning our favorite chef and the potential for Chef Pepperjack's Bistro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like this one would probably be the fanciest. Like, I feel like this is the one that they'd really want to play up and give you, you know, the, like, $30, $40 meals, like the Cinderella's Castle or Mythos or various different things like that, where they could, you know, just give you some really just, like, expensive steaks or just any number of things. Yeah, gumbo, Phoenix chicken, evil omelets.
And I could even see them calling a dessert onion in the ice cream.
They really could. You know, they could even have like some sort of fancy shish kebab kind of thing going on, like how you have to dodge in the Chef Zeppelin levels. But yeah, I mean, I feel like with the other two, that's definitely going to be like the, hey, I'm hungry, I need to eat, let's hop in here, let's, you know, order a really expensive $15 pizza and head out. But like with Chef Pepperjack, I feel like they'd probably want to play up the whole like fancy dining experience even more.
Exactly, especially since it does hold the title of chef.
And I do also have one other restaurant idea, and I don't think it'd necessarily be like a restaurant. They could definitely do it as maybe like a food stall kind of thing, and I think they should have a Captain Flynn's enchiladas. You could get various different kinds of enchiladas. Maybe you could get some churros there as well, and they could even maybe theme it based around the Dread Yacht if they wanted to. That'd be kind of fun.
And all the refreshments throughout the park would have to be directly from Soda Springs.
They could have the souvenir cups say Soda Springs on it or whatever, and they could probably have some interesting kind of flavors there. Like they could have the orange ambrosia cooler, and they could have the suction eel flavored ones.
And then moving on from shops and eateries, normally the next thing you would look at an amusement park or a theme park is attractions. But before we go into that, another thing commonly found at amusement parks is characters. In-costume characters for autographs and photo ops. I believe for a Skylanders themed park, we would definitely need the NPCs to walk around.
Yeah, probably. We'd probably see, you know, Master Eon, Flynn, Callie,
Chaos,
Persephone, Tessa. They could do a wide variety of different characters there. So, yeah, absolutely.
Characters people can't name because nobody can remember the Swap Force NPCs.
Right, there you go. At the front of the park, they just need to have a Rufus animatronic saying, "Welcome back to Woodboro, hero of Cloudbreak Islands," over and over and over again.
Oh my god. It's perfect and it's terrible at the same time. Moving on then to attractions themselves, because that is what really is the draw to a theme park, is the attractions.
Yeah.
One of the first ideas I came up with for attractions for Skylanders themed amusement park would be a stage show. Mesmeralda's stage show, to be exact.
Ooh, yeah. Another kind of show that they could have is maybe have some sort of like Skylanders stunt show kind of thing. For instance, like maybe they have Musion, so kind of using that Pepper's Ghost effect that we see in attractions like the Haunted Mansion or in Forbidden Journey, where, you know, we maybe have some of the Skylanders digitally kind of fighting against, you know, chaos, and maybe they're fighting alongside employees of the park that are maybe playing the role of like a portal master who are like helping to guide the Skylanders through this battle. And so they could kind of have this digital stuff, but they could combine it with real practical effects, like, you know, maybe we have Spyro throw a fireball and then we see like an actual like fireball explode on the stage, things like that.
That's a really cool idea. Every theme park needs some sort of water ride. In most cases, this is the log ride. Usually, it's a dark log ride with drops and splashes. In this case, I feel as though Mushroom River rafting would be a little bit more appropriate.
Yes, yeah, I could definitely see that. Mushroom River would definitely make a really fun rafting thing, where maybe you have animatronics of, you know, various enemies like the splatter pillar and things like that kind of on the side trying to like reach out at the boat. They could definitely do some pretty fun things with it.
And then in regards to staples for an amusement park, nothing is more iconic than the requisite haunted house. In this case, I would suggest Hex's House of Horrors.
Yeah, that definitely could work. And, you know, what better theming to have, like, outside of the haunted house than, like, Monster Marsh? So, yeah, definitely. They could either do, like, a haunted house kind of trying to find your way through, kind of like a maze, kind of have, like, a jump scare kind of thing, like a very traditional haunted house. Or they could definitely go the route of, you know, Disney's Haunted Mansion, where you're in a ride vehicle on a track going through different scenes.
And no theme park would be complete without roller coasters. I've conceptualized a couple of roller coasters. The first one being the Flight of the Dread Yacht, because we all know that boarding the Dread Yacht usually leads to turbulent flight. And the other being a Rainbow Rails coaster.
Yeah, both of those are actually really good ideas. I like the Dread Yacht idea because I feel like they could kind of go like Star Tours kind of route with it, where maybe it's just like a smaller version of the Dread Yacht. It fits a kind of whole theater of people. You sit down, you strap in, and then maybe it does various different, you know, scenery as like a dark ride kind of simulator kind of thing. But they could also do that as, you know, turning the Dread Yacht into a roller coaster train.
I feel like maybe an indoor dark coaster similar to Disney's Indiana Jones Adventure or Dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they could go the way of Dinosaur as well, where you are kind of on track, going through various different scenes. Ride vehicle can speed up, slow down, simulate crashes, things like that.
On the topic of dark rides, every theme park does need a few dark rides that are more accessible for smaller children. In this case, I would recommend a small handful of storybook rides detailing the stories behind some of the Skylanders adventures.
Okay.
For example, we could have one as you go through room after room, rebuilding the core of light. One that tells the story of the Giants versus the Archeans, a dark ride where it's an adventure capturing the Doom Raiders, and of course, reclaiming Skylands from Supreme Emperor Chaos and the Darkness.
Yeah, they totally could do any of those. Or they could just come up with a brand new kind of adventure as well, where you're joining the Skylanders, Chaos is at it again, he's after something, and you have to stop him. And maybe what they could even do there is have the ride vehicles themed based around, like, a Skylander. Like, it could be like a Dragon Skylander, or maybe you're riding on the Dragon Skylanders, so there could be like a Spyro ride vehicle, a Whirlwind ride vehicle, and so like you hop on, like, say the Whirlwind ride vehicle, and so the story is then narrated by Whirlwind's voice actress as, you know, you go through the thing. But then if you're on the Spyro ride vehicle, it's narrated by Spyro's voice actor. Could make the ride a little bit different depending on what ride vehicle you're on. And Universal's actually already done that with Skull Island Reign of Kong, where they have different narrators in the different ride vehicles. And speaking also of kiddie rides, another thing they could do is kind of have like a Dumbo ride. It lifts you up and down, you go around in a circle, and they could also do that with like the dragons.
I had actually conceptualized this exact ride, but with sky vehicles.
Oh, yeah, they definitely could do that with sky vehicles, too. Going back to the log flume idea, like, they could also do something like bumper boats, but...
I had sea vehicle bumper boats
Yeah.
as a concept as well. Also, similar to Disney's submarine tours, they could do something like that with the sea vehicles as well.
What about the, the land vehicles? They could do go-karts.
Land vehicle go-kart races.
Yeah. So there's tons of different ideas that you could use the vehicles for because, this is a franchise that already has vehicles incorporated in it, so why not, try to use those as the ride vehicles themselves.
And then also drawing further inspiration from Disney, and in this case, their Jungle Cruise, they could do something along the lines of Flynn's Cloud Cruise. Now, this could still be done in Dread Yacht-designed ride vehicles on water, but perhaps there's a mist over the water so it looks more like clouds. Then you could visit the different areas of Skylands, see the different creatures of Skylands, and it could be all piloted by Flynn.
Also, on the topic of the dragons and everything again, for roller coasters, have like a dragon-themed train of the various different dragons, blades, Sunburn even, who keeps getting forgotten.
Or a carousel.
Yeah, or a carousel, where they could kind of incorporate all those characters.
One final staple for theme park rides would be the spinning rides. In this case, I would bring up the possibility of a Pop Fizz's Alchemy bottles, similar to Disney's teacups.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That would work fairly well. Going back again to like the restaurants and shops idea, like we already would have the Soda Spring sodas. We could also have like the Fizzland potions. So they could definitely do something like that. They could even have, a way to play Skystones. They could maybe have like a Epcot Innovation Center kind of building, but instead of having like various different activities in there, like it could just maybe be like a bunch of different ways to like digitally play Skystones and the different kinds of Skystones as well. And they could even have that whole building themed after the Golden Arcade.
And they could fill it with an actual arcade with things like Whack-A-Chompy, etc.
Yeah, they totally could just add in, tons of different mini games, either brand new and inspired by Skylanders, or they could take things like the Egg Rescue mini game and throw that in there. They could even throw in lock puzzles and things like that to maybe even access different other areas in the game space. And another thing that'd be really cool that they could add in is like a Thumpin' Wumpa Islands kind of playground. They could maybe have like a trampoline kind of thing that looks like a box or whatever. They could kind of do a lot of fun, different kind of ideas with it.
Absolutely. In my experience, many amusement parks have a kind of central building for one. For Disney, it would be their various castles. I feel as though at the center of this park, we could probably have Cloudcracker Prison and even offer a tour where you kind of see CG versions of the villains that are trapped there. And that would kind of be just a giant or a large building that kind of, from there, the themes would branch out in each direction. For example, we could have a section of the park where it's based around the Enchanted Elven Forest. You enter the building through the doorways in the trees, and you would find your dark rides in there, or even autograph zones or what have you. They could have a more Arctic-themed area, similar to the Frostfest Mountains. Definitely would have to have a Skylanders Academy area as well.
And kind of what I'm thinking of something they could do is they could have the Academy be the main central kind of hub of everything, and then maybe they could have either theming of different levels, different like famous levels, kind of hiding all the ride buildings and kind of going off in different sections, or they could even have like different elemental zones that you could go to.
Yes.
So like they could have like a water element zone, and there they could have like the bumper boats and the log flume ride and everything like that, and different areas could have different kind of theming.
And I feel like the elemental zone areas would be the way to go for that. That just fits Skylanders so well.
Yeah. Now, of course, a theme park wouldn't really be complete without a fireworks show that happens in the evening to kind of encourage everyone to go home. Fireworks tend to be the signal that theme parks use to be like, all right, everyone, park closes in 30 minutes, let's go. So they could definitely have some sort of big show thing at the end.
My thoughts first go to Pop Fizz, because what screams fireworks like exploding potion bottles?
Very true, yeah. They could definitely have a big, like, Pop Fizz kind of show. They could even do that while they have, like, a Pop and the Gang kind of concert going on.
That would be really great.
And it'd be a great way to incorporate Wolfgang in there too if they wanted to, so it'd be kind of fun.
And with the fireworks display over, we can't forget to purchase our souvenirs on our way out of the park. In this case, it's time for a legendary treasure hunt.
Alright, so after some searching, it seems we have found the souvenirs that we want from the park, and that consists of our legendary treasure hunt this week. The challenge of which was to find the lot with the most variant Skylanders, max of $40. We're scoring this as 1 point for every Skylander that fits the description of the challenge for the week, and half a point for every $5 under the price point you are, as well as our new rule, minus half a point for every shroom boom that happens to be in the lot. So, Ditto, why don't you go ahead and start off with describing the lot that you have this week and what a doozy it is.
Well, Inklander, I found my lot today on OfferUp, and this lot happens to be what I have come to refer to as a revenge sale. This lot contains 7 variant Skylanders, legendary Spyro, 2 legendary Trigger Happies, a legendary Bash, Jolly Bumble Blast, legendary Chop Chop, and a gold Washbuckler Chase variant. But that's not all this lot has. This lot comes with 32 non-variant Skylanders, the Darklight Crypt expansion piece, Time Twister and Healing Elixir magic items, a Swap Force portal, and the Spyro's Adventure carrying case. Now, I wonder who is getting revenge on whom, because this lot of 39 Skylanders plus magic items and a carrying case is available for only $2.
Yeah, that's quite the deal there. And I definitely get why you probably call it a revenge lot.
Those deals that are so good, you have to wonder, did somebody go out of town and their significant other is just trying to get rid of stuff to make room?
I definitely get that when you're when it's like this many Skylanders for that low of a price.
Because this really feels like they just want to get rid of it and do it now.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like it's a thing where they don't know the price of it, because they would have to know that it's worth more than $2 at least. But no,
they couldn't not.
Yeah, it's just like, no, they're just selling it for $2. So yeah, that's a pretty great deal, and way better than the one I have. So you have an initial total of 7 points, and then you are $38 under, which would give you 3.5 points, because of every $5 under you get half a point. So that would bring your total up to 10.5 points. But then on top of that, I mean, this is a lot of like 40 Skylanders for $2 with a portal, so you have to get the bonus point this week. There's no way you can't. That would bring your grand total up to 11.5 points. That's a pretty good deal.
That is absolutely a good deal.
Yeah. As for my lot, I found mine on eBay for $25, and it consists of all legendary characters, and it's Zulu, Lightcore Grim Creeper, Deja Vu, half of Night Shift, just the top half of Night Shift, so it's just Night, Spyro, and Trigger Happy. So it is 5.5. We are going to count Night as half a point, because technically he is functional as half a Skylander, so long as you have a bottom half of another Swap Force, so we are going to count that. So it's 5.5 points there, and then I am $15 under the max of 40, so that gives me 1.5 points. That brings me to 7 points. So Ditto, that means that you won by a landslide this week. So congrats. You have a really, really great lot.
Thank you, Inklander, and I'd like to say, well played. Your lot was really impressive, as always, and it's only because I got lucky enough to find the revenge sale that I managed to pull ahead this time.
Like, that is a really solid deal. With our souvenirs in hand, it's time for us to go hop aboard the Dread Yacht and see what destination we're going to be headed to next on our tour.
we're back aboard the Dread Yacht, and I thought we had left our amusement park behind, but we seem to be flying over it again. No, this is a nightmare compared to what we dreamt up. There's a roller coaster, but it appears to be in disrepair. These zones don't seem to be elementally based at all, or even coordinate with each other for that matter. And rats seem to have overtaken the place. Ew. But this is the destination for today's tour. We will be visiting the abandoned amusement park from Skylanders Imaginators.
Yeah, so we couldn't do a theme park episode without talking about this level. And this level is fine. It definitely has its issues. But, overall, I think it's kind of okay. Like, it's not awful, but definitely some things with it could be a lot better. So, Ditto, I don't know, what are your kind of impressions with this one?
We find ourselves entering the abandoned amusement park because, for whatever reason, this is where the Trojan cake is being built. And we need to frost it and finish it out so that we can deliver ourselves to chaos.
Yes. So that's one thing that I didn't really like about this level, is that the story elements of it kind of just don't make sense. Like, it's just weird that we're, like, frosting this giant cake in an amusement park.
Especially an amusement park infested with rats and bugs.
Which, I feel like, that was probably them trying to be a little bit clever with it. But it just, I don't know, it just doesn't really kind of mesh well. The idea of, like, rats and bugs kind of infesting the amusement park after it's been shut down, that kind of makes sense. But also, at the same time, we don't really ever see any kind of, like, abandoned food stalls in this area. Really, it's just, like, all the different kind of zones, so it's kind of weird that the rats and bugs are there anyway.
It's entirely zones and attractions. There's no shops, there's no eateries. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even have a bathroom.
It's not too great when it comes to story elements here. Granted, Imaginators in general doesn't have a really great cohesive story, but then the other thing is of course, the rats end up stealing the candles a little bit later in the level, and as you're chasing after them, you run into Chaos. And, Chaos, in this game, he kind of has this ability to just kind of materialize his head anywhere. So, like, I feel like he would know or have some idea that we were building this cake.
And he does, because when we go to have the Trojan cake delivered, doesn't he say, I know this is clearly a trap, but I'm going to open it anyway?
I get they're kind of trying to play it off, but it just doesn't really work. He should know that this is going on, but they kind of just, like, fourth wall break it or choose to not acknowledge it, like, a little too much. Like, it's just kind of just bad. Kind of bad writing, really. I don't really particularly like the story elements behind this one. It just doesn't really mesh well. And as you say, especially with the zones all kind of feeling all over the place, like, yeah, we have, like, a Neptune zone and, like, a pirate zone at the beginning. That kind of makes sense because they're both water themed. I mean, I feel like if I was designing a park, unless it was a water park, like, I'd probably only have one of those. But then it kind of goes from that to, like, space or, like, future to, like, winter wonderland. It's just kind of seems like it's all over the place.
And that might be honestly why it's abandoned, because the amusement park didn't do well because it was just kind of thrown together like that. And I think when you consider it that way, the level design's actually really good.
Yeah, that is true. Like, you could kind of see it that way.
I really enjoyed the touch of using the electric eel batteries to provide power to a couple of things throughout the park. That was a really cool concept, especially since that kind of shows us how they get their power to begin with.
Yeah, I definitely like that. And it kind of reminded me of Skylanders Superchargers, and even in parts of Imaginators as well, where you have to, like, connect the blocks together to be able to create, like, a path for the electricity. I do kind of like that idea. But there are kind of different parts of this level that do kind of seem a little rehashed. They have the seesaw platforms that are brought back from Sky Fortress, and, I mean, I feel like they worked really well in Sky Fortress. They kind of just seem a little out of place here.
Absolutely. And then there's the rail grind challenges on the abandoned coaster track, which I thought was very Skylanders and a very cool touch.
Yeah. Another fun touch that I like about the level is they have this, like, voice on the PA system, just making these comments about, like, park safety is our #1 priority, right behind tax evasion. So it's technically our #2 priority, but it's still pretty up there.
I love the PA system, and I wonder if that system didn't say those exact same things when the park was actually open.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun, and I do kind of enjoy that. But I do feel also kind of just generally the level is a little bit long as well. Like, they could have probably cut out the middle portion of it and just kind of had maybe like the Pirate and Neptune zone, and then you get to like the cake frosting, and then right from there you go into Winter Wonderland instead of having all the like futuristic kind of stuff, because it just kind of makes the level drag on a little bit.
And then there was the minigame with the frosting cannon and the bugs trying to eat the frosting. I thought that minigame was actually quite fun, but I feel like it should have only been done twice instead of the 3 times that they do it.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't like that minigame, actually. I found it to be a little annoying in the controls and them trying to eat away the frosting and everything. Like, I just found it to just be a little convoluted in a way.
To me, it was an interesting little change to what we used to know as the turret system.
Yeah, I don't know. They could have done something a little bit different with it. Not quite sure what, because that same kind of thing you see at the end with Enchanted Elven Forest as well. I like that idea, but it just, I don't know, it just kind of feels a little just like it doesn't control well sometimes, or like maybe it's just like it has a little too much that it's trying to do. There's just like something with it where it's just like it's okay, but it's not like one of my favorite parts of those levels. And I don't know, maybe if they had cut it back to where it was just 2 sections instead of 3, and there wasn't as much frosting that could be eaten away by the bugs or something, maybe that would have made it a little bit better. But yeah, it was just, to me, not the greatest part of the level. But overall, though, like, I don't think it's a terrible level. It's just kind of, like, okay. To me, like, it's a little bit above Ironjaw Gulch. Ironjaw Gulch is just, like, a pretty big meh. Like, it's just, like, overall, like, not great. But it's just, like, some of the little touches that they add in to this particular level that probably brings it up a little bit higher than Ironjaw Gulch.
I find this level, on the other hand, to be amazingly fun and really enjoyable, and I would go so far as to call it a good level. It's one of my favorite levels in the Imaginators game, and that's mostly from a gameplay standpoint as opposed to a level design or story standpoint. But each different Portal Master is going to have a different experience in each level.
Yes, that's true. The thing that would have maybe made this level stand out a little bit more to me is if they just kind of had the Winter Wonderland thing as its own level in itself, where like the whole time you're just like scaling a mountain, you're having to avoid like rolling logs and things like that. There's a bunch of like rickety platforms. If they had turned that into a level in itself, I think that would have probably been a little bit more exciting to me.
That would have been a really cool level concept.
Yeah, and I would have preferred that as opposed to what we got. But as you said, Ditto, everyone's going to have a different opinion on every level in every Skylanders game.
It's a shame that this amusement park is in the shape it's in. It doesn't look like it would have been the greatest amusement park, but it does look like it would have been a lot of fun to see in its heyday. Wait, are those rats mutating? Oh no, we gotta get out of here now. Flynn!
The Dread Yacht has safely, but maybe not so safely, evacuated to the Archean Arena. This is the segment where we pit Skylander against Skylander in a bout of hypothetical combat. So Ditto, which Skylander have you brought to the arena this week?
Inklander, this week I am going to call forth for my champion, the sensei known as Chain Reaction.
Ooh. Okay, Chain Reaction's a lot of fun.
Chain Reaction is a melee tech element Skylander with a maximum health at level 20 of 720, critical hit 87, armor 50, speed 68, and luck 35. His attack 1 is called the Chainsaw Combo, which performs a combination of up to 3 attacks with the chainsaw. This lands for 31 points of damage apiece, with 6 damage continuing residually and a finisher of 9. His attack 2 is called Summon Invention, which spawns a mechanical device that attacks his enemies. Attack 3 is known as Thunder Slam, which is a quick leap into the sky and a downward strike. Attack 2, Summon Invention, lands 94 points of damage per hit. Attack 3, Thunder Slam, hits for 78 points of damage per strike. And Chain Reaction's Soul Gem does allow for a lightning strike to strike the enemy as Thunder Slam hits as well. For the upgrade paths, Chain Reaction has the top path known as Chainsaw Combos, which adds combos and charged bolts for extra damage to his attack 1. And the bottom path is called Music Inventor, which increases his energy cap and gives the inventions the ability to shockwave and an explosive finisher.
Wow. Yeah, he's a pretty powerful character all around. While his primary attack doesn't do a lot of damage, his secondary and tertiary attacks definitely do. And he also has some pretty high stats, like that critical hit being 87 is crazy. Same thing with that speed at 68.
Yeah, Chain Reaction is surprisingly quick and powerful. He is a character that I had overlooked at first, other than his design, because he is really, really cool looking. But when I finally got around to putting him in the portal, I regretted not doing so sooner. He kind of just walked in and wrecked shop.
Yeah. He is a really well-designed Skylander. He looks like a tech Skylander. They really got that vibe really well with all the, like, chains everywhere. Not only that, but his moveset's a lot of fun and really powerful, too. And you kind of expect him to kind of maybe move a little bit slower, kind of like a Smasher character would. But he really does not. Like, he's actually pretty speedy and really fun to play as.
He's everything you would expect from a character who literally dual wields chainsaws.
Yeah.
Now, which champion have you brought to face down Chain Reaction today?
Right, so the character that I've brought to fight Chain Reaction is a character from Skylanders Giants. The character is Thumpback.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Thumpback is a water melee character with a health of 1380 and a critical hit of 64, armor of 43, speed of 32, and luck of 30. His primary attack is Anchor Assault, which is him swinging his anchor, which deals 51 damage. Then his secondary attack is Belly Flop, which deals 53 damage, which is him ground pounding, basically, but on his belly. His third attack is a Whale of a Chomp, which is him biting the opponents for 69 points of damage. His top path is Anchor's a Yay, which has attack 1 gain combos and increased damage, and the anchor also gains increased damage. Meanwhile, his bottom path, up close and personal, has increased resistance, attack 3 gains charge for a stream of projectile damage, and if you use the belly slam attack and then press the chomp attack, you're able to do the belly slam and then chomp immediately after the other. So Thumpback is a pretty fun, pretty powerful character, and as a giant, he does kind of move a little bit more slowly, much more slowly than Chain Reaction, but he does have a decently high critical hit and really, really high health, and still does a decent amount of damage.
Thumpback is a really intimidating character, especially with a health total that is almost twice what Chain Reaction's is. But that's the only stat he has on Chain Reaction. Everything else is lower. And then when it comes to his attacks, his attack 1 does do more damage than Chain Reaction's, but the others don't match up to Chain Reaction's attack 2 and 3 either. Thumpback's greatest advantage at this point is the fact that he has nearly double the HP that Chain Reaction does.
Yes, yeah, Thumpback is one of the characters that has the highest HP out of all the Skylanders. The only one that has a higher HP is Crusher. So Thumpback is pretty great when it comes to his health total. And yeah, as you say, his primary attack deals more damage than Chain Reactions, but his other two are definitely a couple dozen points lower. They're still not weak attacks by any means, and they definitely...
by no means.
Yeah, they definitely can still deal damage pretty quickly, but the thing is Chain Reaction is also a little bit speedier and is able to deal attack damage a lot faster, and it's more damage. So the thing is that Thumpback really, his primary advantage is the fact that he has more health, and the hope that maybe he's going to be able to do his tertiary attack and primary attack a little bit faster and be able to try try to whittle down that health of chain reaction before chain reaction's able to get Thumpback down on health.
And how I would play this is I would go with the bottom path to increase the power of chain reaction's inventions, and I would absolutely take advantage of the fact that Thumpback is slow. I would definitely lay on the attack 2. I would make sure that there's always an invention out there and attacking Thumpback, whittling down that health actually rather quickly, considering that the invention does 94 damage per hit from the start. That's before the path has been upgraded. Following the upgrade, it's going to be dealing more damage, attacking more quickly, and exploding at the end. And then as Thumpback inevitably does get closer, because he is still a melee character just as Chain Reaction is, when I'm not needing to pause to summon another invention, I am going to be laying on those chainsaw combos because, while they may not be great damage-wise, they do still add up. A combo of 3 would be 93 points of damage. And as Thumpback initially approaches, I am going to take advantage of the Thunder Slam to get that nearly 100 points of damage in as well. My goal as Chain Reaction would be to lay on the damage as quickly and heavily as I can, rely on those inventions, and hopefully whittle down that gargantuan HP gauge rather quickly.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what you would have to do. Meanwhile, I'd probably go with the bottom path to be able to increase resistance, try to maybe help out my armor there a little bit, and also to be able to kind of combo that secondary and tertiary attack together to where then I'm able to do the slam and then also be able to do the chomp a little bit more quickly back to back to be able to try to deal as much damage as possible. That would give me well over 100 points of damage there, so I'd probably want to try to get that to be able to work on that and deal as much damage as I can by comboing those two attacks together.
That's a very solid strategy. And I think what's going to end up giving Chain Reaction the edge is, while you're going for those chomp attacks, at that point I would switch it up. I wouldn't be focusing on the chainsaw combos. I would at that point take advantage more of the Thunder Slams, especially knowing that the added damage from the Thunderbolt striking you at the same time because of my Soul Gem is going to kind of put it over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. You'd be able to get my health down fairly quickly by doing that. And, I mean, I do think that I'd be able to get you probably pretty close to low health by the end of the match. But I do think that Chain Reaction's probably going to be able to take this a little bit more often than Thumpback would be able to.
I honestly feel like it's a 3 out of 5 for Chain Reaction. I do feel like Thumpback is definitely capable of pulling out a couple of wins. Any win Chain Reaction gets, Chain Reaction is going to be low on HP by the time it is over, because Thumpback does have the power to get there. The only reason Chain Reaction doesn't take this 5 times out of 5 is because of that gargantuan health gauge.
Yes.
That gives Thumpback the edge and the ability to win, I would say 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I would definitely say that 3 out of 5, this goes to Chain Reaction.
That brings us to the end of today's episode. You'll find our website and our individual channels listed in the description. Follow our Twitter at SLPortalcasters for regular Skylanders discussion and Imaginator design challenges. Thank you for listening, and in the next episode, our season finale, we will be joined by Portal Master to discuss the various side modes available throughout the Skylanders series. See you then.
Bye. We're scoring this as $1 for every Skylander that fits.
A point, not $1. We're not handing out money.